Today I'm going to be ranking every LEGO Star Wars set that's based off of the planet Utapau. You guys have really been enjoying this sort of planet series I've been doing where I take a Star Wars planet and pick all the best LEGO sets based off of that planet. And as you guys know, I usually do a top 10, but today I'm ranking every Utapau set because there's only been 8 LEGO Star Wars sets based off of this planet, which is pretty disappointing because in Revenge of the Sith, there's so much cool content that is seen on this planet and LEGO just hasn't really made a lot of it for some reason. And it's been so long that quite frankly, I'm starting to think that some of the cool stuff seen on this planet, LEGO's just never gonna make. Still though, fingers crossed for a Crab Droid in 2025. Anyways, hopping into the number 8 spot, I have a very fan-favorited set, being 7255 General Grievous Chase. This set was released all the way back in April of 2005 with the very first wave of Revenge of the Sith sets. It has 111 pieces and it retailed for $20. This is a fan-favorited set because it's the first and only time that LEGO has ever made Boga, which is the big lizard that Obi-Wan rides in episode 3, and I mean that's definitely really cool, and it's really cool that this is the only time they've made it, and it's also just in general pretty rare for LEGO to make Star Wars creatures like this, but I'm not gonna let that get in the way of the fact that it just doesn't really look that great. Even for 2005, I honestly don't think it was up to standards at that time period, but that's really the only slight downside about this set. It's still cool that they even attempted to make it, and also General Grievous's wheelbike does look pretty solid for 2005, and it's also just really cool that we could recreate this scene with this set. On to the number 7 spots, I have 7656 General Grievous' Starfighter. This set was released all the way back in 2007 with 232 pieces and a retail price of $20 US. And you know, for 2007, I think they did a pretty solid job. It obviously would not hold up today, but back then it clearly did, and it was a pretty cool Starfighter for only $20. It's got a pretty cool sliding cockpit as well as a cool feature where you can raise and lower the blasters. It's overall just a pretty good Starfighter, but nothing too crazy. Up next at the number 6 spot, I have one of the most underrated UCS sets of all time, being 10186 General Grievous. This set was released all the way back in May of 2008 with 1,085 pieces and a retail price of only $90. Adjusted for inflation, that's about $130 in today's money, which really shows you that this thing had a pretty good value because today I would definitely spend $130 on a set this big. Also, just the concept of a full-scale buildable General Grievous is really awesome. His arms and the way that you can pose the lightsabers is really cool. You can really make it look really intimidating. It's great for display, although I'd have to say a downside is the design of his head. It just looks pretty dated. I mean, for 2008 it was solid, but today it definitely wouldn't hold up. Also, for some reason his head design reminds me more of the 2003 Clone Wars cartoon General Grievous than the actual live action General Grievous, but either way his head design is not perfect. I've also heard around that it's a very fragile model, which would definitely get very annoying, especially if you're trying to pose him and make him look cool with his lightsabers, so that's why I didn't want to rank it any higher, but it's still just a really cool set and one of the most underrated UCS sets LEGO has ever made. Coming in at the number 5th spot, I have one of the most overpriced LEGO Star Wars sets ever made, being 75286 General Grievous' Starfighter. This set was released back in August of 2020 with 487 pieces and a retail price of $80. Yes, $80. And honestly, that's just such a huge shame. It's very disappointing that they overpriced it so much for no apparent reason that I can think of, because I mean, all of the content in this set is so good. The Starfighter is absolutely incredible. The minifigures are incredible, especially that Airborne Trooper. I think the Airborne Trooper in this set is a top 10 LEGO Star Wars clone trooper of all time. He just looks absolutely incredible, as well as General Grievous and Obi-Wan. They're both very solid figures, and along that is a very good build. I mean, the Starfighter itself is literally perfect. I don't think they could have done any better. Genuinely, I don't think they could have. It's such a good representation of the Solus One. It really does capture the aggression that this ship really has, and if this wasn't so overpriced at $80, it would easily be a contender for the number 1 spot, and I'm not even joking, because all of the content in it is just so good. But sadly, it's just one of those LEGO Star Wars sets that is overpriced for no reason, and that's why I could not put it any higher than the number 5 spot. Next up at the number 4 spot, I have 7040 General Grievous' Wheelbike. This set was released all the way back in January of 2014, the golden year of LEGO Star Wars, with 261 pieces and a retail price of $25. And let me tell you, from like 2014 to 2016, LEGO had some absolutely banger $25 sets, and this one is a perfect example of that. I mean, obviously the first thing you might notice is just how much of a significant upgrade it is from the 2005 version. The quality jump is just very impressive, and honestly I'd probably say this is one of the most timeless sets that was released in 2014. I've said this many times, but 2014 was really the year where LEGO started to sort of transition into the modern era where we're at today, and that's why I consider it the best. It's when they sort of left behind the early 2000s to early 2010 era of sets and really started to make them more modern and more advanced, and this definitely just backs that up. The build is incredible. It has a lot of very fun play features, obviously. The actual building process itself is very tedious, but I mean, that's easy to look past just because the model just looks so good. Oh yeah, also forgot to mention it's obviously got the most recent General Grievous minifigure LEGO has made, as well as a pretty solid Obi-Wan. Coming in at the number 3 spot, I have a 7661 Jedi Starfighter with Hyperdrive Booster Ring. This set was released all the way back in June of 2007 with 575 pieces and a retail price of $50. And yeah, you could argue that this set technically isn't based off of Utapau, but it's literally the exact Starfighter and the exact Hyperdrive ring that Obi-Wan uses to fly to Utapau, so I'm gonna include it. But anyways, I mean, as you guys know, this set is really awesome. It's the only time that LEGO has made Obi-Wan's blue Jedi Interceptor, and the first time that they made a Hyperdrive ring, and they just did a really good job. And on top of including Obi-Wan, it also includes Kit Fisto for some reason. I've never understood why he was sort of just thrown into this set. And on top of that, for some reason, it was also the very first set that LEGO decided to put Kit Fisto in. A little weird, but hey, I'm not complaining. He's a really cool figure and a really cool set. Next up, at the number 2 spot, I have what is, in my opinion, the best LEGO Star Wars Battle Pack ever made, being 75036 Utapau Troopers. This set was released all the way back in January of 2014 with 83 pieces and a retail price of $13. I feel like I've talked about this battle pack quite a bit recently, but I mean, I'm going to talk about it again because it really is so good. It was when LEGO finally gave us modern movie accurate versions of 212 Troopers, and they just look absolutely flawless. I mean, I kid you not, these are some of the coolest clone troopers LEGO has ever made. It's not even close. Also, on top of that, they actually gave us a sort of semi-movie accurate build, which is pretty rare for battle packs. Usually they just include some type of speeder or just some type of random side build that like we've never seen in the movie, but these Tri-Droids were seen in episode 3, so I think it's cool that they actually included sort of an accurate build for the scene that these troopers are based off of. But sadly, like most battle packs from this era, they do have those annoying stud blasters. And now moving on to the number 1 spot, who would have guessed? It's 75337 ATTE Walker. This set was released back in August of 2022 with 1082 pieces and a retail price of $140. Now I'm pretty sure most of us can agree that this is widely considered to be the best ATTE that LEGO has ever made. I mean, it really is great. They pretty much perfected the vehicle at a play scale model, at least in this set. Obviously, if they made like a UCS model, it would clearly be better than this, but again, at a play scale model, this is pretty much perfect. I think they did a really good job. There are some obvious flaws or annoyances with it though. One is that it includes a dwarf spider droid instead of a crab droid, and in an interview, I'm not sure if you guys know this, but the designers quite literally said that they did not even consider putting a crab droid in this set, which really does suck. It shows that they did not do as much research on the scene as they should have. Also, I don't want to talk about this for too long, but yes, the 212 troopers in this set are pretty bad. Commander Cody is incredible. I mean, I think he's one of the best clone troopers LEGO has ever made, but the actual 212 troopers themselves are pretty bad, especially if you compare them to the 2014 212 troopers that I just talked about at the number 2 spot. And since the set does have some apparent flaws, I was actually hesitant to put it at the number 1 spot. I almost put the Utapau Troopers battle pack over it, but at the same time, its flaws don't have anything to do with the actual build, and it also just felt kind of wrong to put a battle pack over an ATTE for the number 1 spot anyways. So yes, I think this is the best Utapau set. Let me know what you guys think about this list down in the comments below. If you're new, please consider subscribing, and if you want to check out more of my videos, you can see them on the end screen right now.